What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode on my channel. As always, I'm Jay, and guys, according to the internet and, multiple other sources that, you might want to look up into, apparently it's been 20 years since the debut of the first X-Men film. That's right, guys, we've had the X-Men film franchise for 20 years. Of course, it's in the interim, and now it is totally owned by Disney, who absorbed Fox and all their properties at the point. So they will be having some type of reboot or something in the near future, I am sure. But 20 years of the X-Men film franchise. Holy cow. I had grown up with these characters, and I was finally actually going to see them in the theater, and it was mind-blowing. I would have never thought that I would have seen anything like this. I mean, sure, there had been Batman, you had Superman, but X-Men, Spider-Man, all those Marvel characters weren't really prime time. They weren't big time, and they sure as hell weren't being shown in big, budget movies and everything at the time. Even Blade, a lot of people, myself included, really didn't know the origins of the character being a Marvel comic character, because that little blurb at the beginning you can easily miss, and it was just right before the big boom of comics. I mean, the only other thing that struck to me was, aside from the Batman movies, was Spawn during the decade. And then, of course, you go back and see some of the pulp heroes, the Shadow, the Phantom and stuff, but none of those came close to the fact that we were getting the X-Men franchise finally on the big screen. And the thing about that is that without the X-Men franchise, without Blade, without Spider-Man, those three kind of aspects and kind of trifecta, as it were, on the cusp of the millennium, I don't think we would have gotten the awesome things that we have nowadays. I don't think we would have gotten the Avengers, we wouldn't have gotten all these great Marvel movies, we wouldn't have gotten all these Spider-Mans and all these booms of comic book stuff had these not been successful. And I think that directly attributing Avengers' success to X-Men is clearly a bridge right there, because they were the first superhero team that were depicted on screen in a serious way. They had took the casting seriously, and the casting was so perfect, especially in the direction of giving us Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier and giving us Hugh Jackman as Logan, aka Wolverine. Bryan Singer did a great job. The film itself looked fantastic, and we had gotten something that wasn't so flashy and colorful. They poked fun many times in the film about the yellow spandex and everything, but at the end of the day, we had finally gotten a serious superhero movie that was a little bit more mainstream, not to the edge of rated R, but also a more palatable thing for people of all ages, and it rocked as far as I was concerned. And the thing about it is that today, the film, the themes, the way they handled everything still holds up, even if some of the small little bit of effects don't. And, of course, the legacy of the X-Men films, though marred by a handful of missteps that were kind of course-corrected, arguably, by some of the greatest entries, we have one of the best film legacies. And to this day, I still say that X2, X-Men United, is my favorite all-time X-Men film. It did even more stuff than the first one in terms of showcasing mutants. We had more of Wolverine's story. We had a kind of more in-depth story where we actually saw and kind of felt a lot more heart and everything, because this is the entry where they lost Jean. They had a great addition and a great wild opening with the inclusion of Nightcrawler, which sadly he never came back to the live-action franchise, with Alan Cumming being the character for reasons. But all in all, guys, looking back at the past 20 years of X-Men franchise films and kind of where we're at right now, I couldn't have asked for anything more as far as these guys. But of course, now that Marvel has the characters, I'm sure they're going to be able to pull some cool stuff up their sleeve. And the thing about it is that I'm very eager, but I'm also very worried just to see what they do, because we've grown to be attached to these X-Men films and kind of the things that they did. And even though, like I said, there were some grave missteps and misfires during the franchise, for the whole as a franchise, you couldn't have asked for a better track record as far as box office and story-wise, and hopefully Marvel will be able to do even better of a job with these stories and these characters now that they've come back under their umbrella and now that they're back home. Guys, it's been a wild ride, and hopefully we'll be having some more X-Men news soon. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this video and ranting and raving about all things nostalgic as per usual. If you dug it, like, comment, subscribe, and guys, if you are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell button, that way you never miss a moment of my content. But until next time, guys, thank you so much. As always, I'm Jay, so take care, and bye.